Judge Donna Forga. Good morning. I'm going to sound like a broken record after coming out behind Jimmy Davis and Mark Meadows. I want to say to y'all that Macon County is a wonderful place to be. I gave y'all a little speech not that long ago about loving your candidates and how to treat them right. Macon County obviously was doing that before I gave that speech. There is a verse in Judges that says, "Give me wisdom, Lord, for I am just a little servant that are here to serve your great people." And I think Mark Meadows and Jim Davis pray that prayer on a regular basis. I'm standing here because I am very proud to be the only Republican District Court Judge in the 30th Judicial District. The 30th Judicial District is Haywood, Jackson, Macon, Swain, Clay, Graham, and Cherokee. The situation that we have now is that we are going to have a Superior Court Judge in District 38, which is 5 of those counties retired. So I want to tell you that because if you're going to have speakers, I want you to understand what the court system is like. The district that I'm the judge in is those 7 counties. The prosecutor's district is that same 7 counties. The Superior Court District is divided into A and B. Let me do B first. B is Haywood and Jackson. A is everything else. Macon, Swain, Clay, Graham, and Cherokee. I'm here today to introduce to you Ms. Ashley Hornsby Welch, who is a young lady that I've had the opportunity to work with before. She is a graduate of East Henderson High School. She then went to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, where she graduated from Chapel Hill while I was graduating from law school at Chapel Hill. She then attended William and Mary School of Law. She has been working as a prosecutor in this district since May of 2005, and for the 2 years prior to that worked in the same sort of job in the prosecutor's office in the 29th Judicial District. She has won numerous awards, including the Peacemaker Award in 2009. She prosecutes cases that are primarily felonies and capital cases, which are not cases that take place in Raleigh, but cases where the death penalty is involved. That includes homicides and then additional sexual offenses, child pornography, and drug trafficking cases. So let me say that the judicial system is very, very important. I'm very happy that I don't see y'all there. But that doesn't mean it's not very important. So I ask that you will give Ms. Hornsby Welch and then Mr. Coward a listen. And please welcome Ms. Hornsby Welch.
Just like Judge Porter told you, my name is Ashley Hornsby Welch. I'm an assistant district attorney for the 30th Prosecutorial District. My boss is Mike Bonfoy. I've worked for him since 2005. I am the only Republican working in the district attorney's office. And that's been the case almost the entire time that I have worked in the DA's office. That sometimes is a little difficult. But Kathy was gracious enough to ask me to speak to y'all today about the 2014 judicial elections. They're going to be very, very, very important. And a lot of times when people go to vote, they don't even mark who they're going to vote for judges because they don't know who they are. At this point right now, if you're voting straight ticket, Republican or Democrat, you're not voting for the judges. It is extremely important that in 2014, everybody educates themselves, and when they go in to vote, they know who the judges are, who the people on the ballot are, and who's running so that you can vote. There is some talk in Raleigh that we're going to go from nonpartisan judicial races back to partisan. They used to be partisan, so when you walked in, you knew whether you were voting for a Republican or a Democrat. That has not been the case since, I believe it's 2002. That may very well change. That would certainly help when you go in and you know who you're voting for, but even still, I anticipate that if that happens, you're going to see an enormous amount of Republicans on the ballot, enormous amount of Democrats on the ballot. You still need to know who to vote for. We've got 4 separate court races in 2014 that when you go in to vote, you're going to see all of these judges for different races. And I'm going to start from the very top and work my way down to the bottom. Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is her presentation. This is not her 2 minutes. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you.
Yes, sir. That's all right. The very top court in North Carolina is the North Carolina Supreme Court. And if any of y'all were at the meeting last year where Justice Newby came around and he spoke, he is a North Carolina Supreme Court judge. And I want to stress that when somebody who's a wonderful, wonderful man like Justice Newby, who had a heated election with Sam Ervin, which is a huge name in North Carolina, and he can pull that out and win, we can keep this going. So it is very, very important that you keep voting like you did this last time. He is not up for election in 2014, which is wonderful. Those are 8-year terms. And right now there's a conservative majority on the North Carolina Supreme Court. You also have more women right now than men on the North Carolina Supreme Court. And it's just very, very important that we keep a conservative majority on that court. Last week, my husband and I traveled to Henderson County for their convention, primarily to meet Justice Mark Martin, who is on the Supreme Court right now. He has been for quite some time, and he is going to run next year in 2014 for the Chief Justice position. The Chief Justice of the Supreme Court is going to have to retire next year. His seat was open anyway, so he was going to have to run in 2014 anyway, and he just says, I'm going to run for Chief Justice. I spoke to him last week about coming to Macon County. I told him we would love to have him out here. He wants to come out here. I anticipate him. I encourage you to come and attend and hear him. He's trying to get to all 100 counties. He is a wonderful, wonderful man. I anticipate he will probably have people running against him, and we need to support him as much as possible. He's a young man. He is the only person in the North Carolina Supreme Court that has served as a Superior Court judge, a Court of Appeals judge, and now the Supreme Court. He is quite impressive. He became a Superior Court judge when he was in his late 20s. So he has really moved up the ladder quite quickly. He's done a wonderful job for North Carolina. That's somebody that you need to watch out for. Since he's running for the Chief Justice spot, his seat will also be open. So you're going to notice a lot of people filing to run. I don't know at that time who those people are, but you need to educate yourself, figure out what person shares your values, look at their background when you're deciding on who to vote for his seat. And I imagine you'll see him campaigning with people.
Please repeat his name.
Yes, ma'am. It's Justice Mark Martin.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. The other seat, there's 2 other seats that will be open. It's Justice Sherry Beasley. She has been a Court of Appeals judge. She just moved up into the Supreme Court in December, I believe, and left a vacancy down in the Court of Appeals. She is a Democrat. And then there is Justice Robin Hudson, who is another female. She is also a Democrat. And those would be the 4 seats that are open. The reason that this is so important is that there's a lot of legislation being passed right now, and if you don't really pay attention to who you're voting for, all of Senator Davis's work right now could be in vain, because a lot of these issues that are happening right now in Raleigh are going to be legislated. There is just no doubt. Voter ID, for one. Senate Bill 10, which is the elimination of several committees where they're cleaning out all Democrats on committees so that Governor Corey can appoint his own people. There is no doubt that that's going to make it all the way up to the Supreme Court. This is also the court that determines and hears all death penalty appeals. So anytime somebody's given the death penalty in this state, they get an automatic appeal. It's the Supreme Court that hears it. So this is extremely important. Underneath the North Carolina Supreme Court is the North Carolina Court of Appeals. There's 14 judges on that appeal, on that appellate court. There's going to be 3 seats open in 2014. These are also 8-year terms. And the judges' seats that are open are Judge Robert Hunter. He is a Democrat. Judge Donna Stroud. She is a Republican. And Judge Mark Davis, who is a Democrat, and he was just appointed. I don't know if you read the news, right before Beverly Perdue left office in December, she appointed several people to judicial spots. This was one of them. He was her general counsel for the past 2 years. She appointed him into the Court of Appeals position, and now his election will be in 2014. I do not know at this time who these people are that are going to run against them, but you will probably see people running against them. So I encourage you to educate yourself. You'll probably see a lot of people come out in Macon County and speak. Please go to all of that. You can't ask myself or Judge Forga, who do I vote for, because ethics laws prevent us from telling you that. We can't get out and tell you these are the people that you need to vote for. So you might be able to ask my husband that question. He can tell you. He is the staff attorney for the sheriff, and he's not bound by those same laws that I am, or Judge Forga is also bound to. So if you ever wonder, who am I supposed to vote for, Brian Welch can tell you. Right underneath the Court of Appeals is the Superior Court, and that is the court that's, we're going to have a vacancy here on the very last day of September. It's going to be a governor's appointment to replace Judge Downs' spot, and then there's immediately an election in 2014. I anticipate that no matter who gets appointed, you're going to see a lot of people on that ballot. A lot of people have come out and said that they're interested in that position, both Democrats and Republicans. That is a 5-county district. So I'm going to ask that you, again, just get educated, look at who gets appointed, and then look at who is running in the election. And underneath that is the district court, and that is where Judge Forga is. Excuse me. Judge Forga's seat is up in 2014. I have not heard anybody that is talking about running against her. She is doing a fine job, So I hope that nobody runs against her. Certainly, I don't hear any Republicans talking about it. So you got to get behind Judge Forga. There's 2 other seats that are open. Chris Earwood. All of these people ran together at one time. So these names probably seem familiar to you. Chris Earwood's been on the bench just since 2010. She is unaffiliated at this time. However, she's very conservative. And then you've got Roy Wijerekrama, and it took me years to learn how to say that last name. I worked with him in the DA's office for years. He is a registered Democrat. His wife, however, is a registered Republican. And when he ran in 2010, he was endorsed by the Tea Party in every county. So sometimes just because you see a Democrat beside his name doesn't necessarily mean that that's Democrat on the national sense. So you'll see him come back through again. These elections are extremely important. A lot of times people just sort of ignore them and say, well, all the judges are the same, we don't care. They do affect you greatly. You just have no idea how important they are. The district court judges deal with everything from child custody to DUI cases, DSS court. They decide where children are going to go if they're in a bad situation. If you've ever had to appear in front of a judge on a divorce, it's usually a district court judge that you're appearing in front of. Those are very important. Your superior court judges are the ones who are dealing with your homicide cases, your drug traffickers, your serious child molesters. They're dealing with higher level civil cases. They are very important. And the Court of Appeals in the North Carolina Supreme Court set the law for North Carolina. When they bring cases down, we are bound by them. So they are very, very important. I encourage you to start already looking into who your candidates in 2014 are going to be. Again, I'm not going to be able to endorse anybody, but just ask my husband. Thank you so much.